Today, we are going to be mock drafting from the number 2 spot. So if you have the second pick in your fantasy football leagues, this video is for you. Before we get into the mock draft, something I haven't done yet, but something that I'm going to do for this video and other mock draft videos is talk about the strategy that goes into having the number 2 overall pick. Now, obviously, according to most people, the top 2 picks in fantasy football this year are Jamar Chase and Bijan Robinson. And that would be backed up by the fact that Fantasy Pros consensus ADP has Bijan Robinson as the number 2 player, Saquon Barkley number 3, Justin Jefferson number 4. Now, I wouldn't necessarily blame you for going wide receiver and with the number 2 pick, whether that's CeeDee Lamb or Justin Jefferson, which Justin Jefferson's number 4, CeeDee Lamb's number 6, because I like the running backs that are potentially going to come back to you in round 2 and round 3, because you're looking probably at Bucky Irving, maybe a Josh Jacobs, maybe Jonathan Taylor falling to you at that spot. I know a lot of people are down on Jonathan Taylor, perhaps Chase Brown, Kyron Williams. I think those are all solid options at running back. And then when you look at wide receivers, I think it's a little bit more risky in rounds 2 and round 3. Like you're looking at T. Higgins. I don't think Drake London would make it all the way back there. Ladd McConkey has his values taken a hit because of the Keenan Allen signing. And then, Devontae Adams, all of a sudden the Matthew Stafford back injury has me a little bit worried about him, although I do not mind taking Devontae Adams in round 3, probably not in round 2 though. So for those reasons, I think you can potentially put yourself behind the 8 ball at wide receiver, especially in a PPR league, which is not something that I really like to do. And then looking at some of the other options at wide receiver, in rounds 4 and 5, potentially you're looking at a Marvin Harrison Jr., which I'm not really drafting much of Marvin Harrison Jr. Mike Evans, maybe, although I doubt he falls to round 4. He's more of a round 3 pick from what I've seen. You could take a chance on Rashee Rice. Cortland Sutton is also somebody that I like. There's also running backs that I like later too, like Trevion Henderson. Travis Hunter is a guy that you could take a shot on at wide receiver. I like doing that. I think the upside is worth the risk there. So that kind of takes you through the first 5 rounds. And then from there, it's just like any other pick. You're taking value where you can find it. Players like Rome Odunze, I think, has a really good chance to break out. Tedero and McMillan, his ADP is too low at pick 73. There are some other videos on this channel, my fantasy football sleepers video. The other mock drafts on this channel can help you figure out those players. So, but without further ado, I think we should just jump into this draft and see how it goes. So again, very wary of taking a running back. That's probably what I'm going to do at the number 2 pick. It's probably going to be Bijan, just to give you a real clear idea of what is going to happen if you take Bijan. But let's find out what happens in this mock draft. Again, if you like this content, click the like button. If you want more of it, click the subscribe button. I'm going to be doing mock drafts all the way up until your fantasy draft, up until the start of the NFL season. So away we go. All right, so here we are. This is the Fantasy Pros Draft Wizard tool. We are going to, it doesn't really matter for a mock draft, but ESPN, if you want to sync your league, you can via this tool. It's really cool. 2025 season PPR Snake. We are drafting from the number 2 spot. We're going to have 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, a tight end, and a flex. 8 bench spots. We're going to be drafting against the Fantasy Pros experts using ESPN pre-draft rankings, which is what we discussed before this mock draft. We're going to kick off. Everything's normal. I don't see any reason why we need to delay this any longer. So let's go ahead and start the mock draft. And again, we're going to be picking from the number 2 spot. And everybody is telling you to take Bijan Robinson. I think, like I said in the beginning, I think there's a really good case to be made for CeeDee Lamb or Justin Jefferson, just based on the fact that there's going to be really good options at running back coming back to you in round 2. And this year, I don't know. I can't remember if it's completely different from last year. I feel like the wide receivers, the more drafts that I do, the wide receivers are going very quickly. So I don't, especially in a PPR league, I don't want to put myself behind the 8 ball with wide receiver. With that being said, I am going to take Bijan. Okay, that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to see what's going to happen here. So as predicted, we have CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson coming off the board. Malik Neighbors comes off the board at the 106. Jahmyr Gibbs, Drake London in the first round. Derek Brown loves Drake London. I don't know if I like him that much. I like him more as a second round pick. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Puka Nacua, Saquon. Saquon, really sick value there at the 110. He would have been the other running back that I would have considered at the 102. Nico Collins, Brian Thomas, Christian McCaffrey. Brian Thomas Jr., Christian McCaffrey. I mean, if you're at the 112 and you can start with those two guys, that's a home run start if you ask me. Devon Achane, Ashton Genty, Derrick Henry, AJ Brown, Trey McBride. We have both the elite tight ends coming off the board. Lad McConkey still goes in the second round. T. Higgins, Chase Brown. So we are in an interesting spot. This is kind of what I was worried about, to be honest with you, because I don't love the wide receivers in this range. I really don't like Garrett Wilson this year. I don't like Jackson Smith and Jigba playing with Sam Darnold behind that really bad offensive line. It won't be as bad as last year, but it's still not going to be great. Now, what we could do is we could go with just a double hero RB start, going Bijan and Jacobs, or Bijan and Bucky, Bijan and Jonathan Taylor. I think Jonathan Taylor at this range in the draft could be a really good value, but we have to consider the settings. We need to start 3 wide receivers. So for that reason, I'm also out on Tyreek Hill. So for that reason, I feel like one of these picks probably needs to be a wide receiver. That being said, I don't really love the wide receivers on the board. I mean, Devontae Adams in round 2 feels really rich. Same with Mike Evans. Feels really rich. We could go with an elite quarterback, but again, that doesn't solve our wide receiver problem. I am going to go with a double hero RB strategy here because I like some of these running backs over some of these wide receivers. And I'm just going to go with the guy that I feel is the most proven and has the most upside, and that would be Jonathan Taylor. But let me know what you think in the comments. So we do have 2 players that I was not considering, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Garrett Wilson, coming off the board. Now, I don't mind taking a Devontae Adams. I don't mind taking a Mike Evans here in the 3rd round. I think that's the direction that we should probably go. And just based on the injury concern with Matthew Stafford, that makes me lean in the direction of Mike Evans. The fact that Chris Godwin is also dealing with an injury and may not be ready to start the season makes me lean Mike Evans. So I feel pretty good about that start. Bijan, Jonathan Taylor, Mike Evans. Let me know what you think in the comments. Again, I still think that if I'm at the 102 and I'm in a PPR league, especially half PPR is a little bit different, man, I would be tempted to go wide receiver just because I do not like falling behind the 8 ball at wide receiver. So we do have quite a few running backs. Kenneth Walker coming off in round 3 is really crazy. Bucky Irving, really good value there at the 305. We have some of the elite quarterbacks coming off the board. George Kittle makes it all the way to the 401. I think that's a really good value. Jalen Hurts in the 4th round is a smash, but we are up here. And Breece Hall, I mean, man, if it wasn't, if we didn't start, and this is again the problem, I think, because I like a lot of these running backs going later. I mean, Trevion Henderson is also here, but it would be early for him. I like a lot of these running backs that are going later, so maybe I should have just stuck with my instincts and went with a wide receiver to start. So I do feel like one of these picks probably should be a wide receiver, although I'm not in love with any of these values. I do really like Breece Hall here at the 411. We can stick him in our flex. I know there are concerns about usage, but I don't think if we pass on Breece Hall here, I don't think he's coming back to our pick at the 502. I think with one of those 2 picks, I think I forgot my passporta. Haha, very clever. I do think that we wouldn't get him. So I'm gonna pass on wide receiver here. I'm gonna go with Breece Hall. And so they go Zay Flowers and James Conner. There are some wide receivers here that I wouldn't mind taking. So we're pretty solid on running back. We're going to have to play some serious catch up here on wide receiver. I don't love DK Metcalf this year. I just think that Pittsburgh offense is something I'm just going to avoid because I don't think Aaron Rodgers is good. I don't think the offensive line is good. I get it. The target share is going to be there for him, but what good's a target share if it's, if the quality of the targets are not good? So there are a few safe picks here. I think Devonta Smith is a fine pick to make here. Xavier Worthy, I think, has a lot of upside. Rashee Rice, we know we're going to get a suspension, but I think that could be a really good pick. George Pickens, too, would be a fine pick as well in that Dallas offense. But I think I'm just going to go the safe route. I think this is between Devonta Smith and Xavier Worthy for me. And I think I'm just going to lean into what I know and pick Devonta Smith. You let me know what you think in the comments of that. So we go Devonta Smith, and we do have quite a few wide receivers coming off the board here. And again, this is kind of what I was a little bit afraid of with starting running back early, although I don't necessarily love any of these running back options here. Don't really like any of the tight ends. Jacoby Myers in the 6th feels a little bit early. We could take Ricky Pearsall, Juwan Jennings, one of those San Francisco wide receivers. Emeka Egbuka is interesting. I definitely don't think we're going tight end, even though Mark Andrews is there. Again, the more I'm drafting this team, I don't really love. I mean, it's okay. I think it's a fine team. We'll see what the Fantasy Pros experts think of it. But I'm got to be honest, I don't really, I don't love this. I mean, I have mixed feelings about it for sure. And I think we're in a position now where I think we have to go wide receiver. And I'm not, just kind of looking at what's on the board. I think, man, I think Ricky Pearsall is probably my favorite option. I do think he has a really good shot to break out this year. And we could also go with the strategy. I mean, I don't know where Brandon Ayuk is going. I don't think there's a search bar where we could search for him. But let me just scroll down here. I know this makes for great radio and in a YouTube show. Yeah, he's right here. So he's wide receiver 53. So we could build a bridge, a San Francisco 49ers wide receiver bridge with Ricky Pearsall here. I'm going to stop yapping. I'm just going to take Ricky Pearsall. It does feel a little bit early, honestly. But I'm fine with it. I think at this stage too, I mean, one of these running backs would be nice, but again, we have 3 running backs. And so we have our 3 starters. We have our 2 running backs and a flex. So I suppose the value pick would probably be one of those running backs at the top there. I don't necessarily love Tony Pollard, although I do agree that his value has gone up with the news of Tajay Spears having a high ankle sprain. So he's potentially going to not be healthy for the start of the season, but I don't really love Tony Pollard. 7th round, I'm fine with it, but I'd probably prefer like a Tyrone Tracy or a Brian Robinson Jr. Looking at some of these other wide receivers, I mean, we could take Jordan Addison. I think that would be a fine pick, although, there's not much room for targets in that offense. I'm really struggling, honestly, with the number 2 pick here. I mean, we could just go cop out and take Mark Andrews. I do think there's a chance, just based on who has tight ends, that Mark Andrews could fall back to us. You know what? I think I'm just going to completely pivot. I think I don't love this. Let's go with, would I be a complete hypocrite if I just took Tony Pollard right now? I don't love it, but I also, man, I don't like any of the. I don't really. I'm not in love with any of the wide receiver values either. I would have definitely timed out by now. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you would have done in the comments. But I do think that the best player on the board right now at the best value, and I love Tajay Spears. One of my bold predictions is that Tajay Spears proves that he's a top 15 running back this year, but that was before the injury. So I am going to go with Tony Pollard here. Don't hate me too much. I don't love that pick, but it looks like we took the right position at least, because a ton of running backs just went off the board. And Mark Andrews is staring us in the face now. So we have 4 running backs, feel really good about our running back room. And Mark Andrews is just somebody that I find myself continually clicking the button on. I don't really see the downside. I'm not too overly concerned about Isaiah Likely. I believe in the offense. I think the offense is going to score a lot of touchdowns. There's going to be a lot of red zone opportunities. And we know that Mark Andrews is going to be a red zone target for this team. So Mark Andrews is definitely an option here. I don't necessarily hate Emeka Egbuka either in this range. I think Jordan Addison at this point would be just a smash value, even though he's suspended. So he doesn't have a tight end yet. He has a quarterback. We're talking about the number 1 pick here. He's pretty strong at wide receiver. So I'm going to bet that he does not take Jordan Addison. We're hoping that Addison would make it back to us. Let's take Mark Andrews, and he does take Jordan Addison. So that's the risk you run. So he's going wide receiver heavy. That kind of stings a little bit. Let's see. We do like some quarterbacks here, but I feel like I want to get another wide receiver. Darnell Mooney is probably not going to be ready to start the season. Christian Kirk a little bit later could be a nice option for us. He's probably going to start especially if the Texans decide to go 3 wide receiver sets. Jaden Higgins might be a nice rookie. I do like Wan'Dale Robinson in PPR leagues quite a bit as well. He's going to get a lot of targets. I mean, Malik Neighbors, as much as I like Malik Neighbors, he can't just get every single target. Deebo Samuel, I mean, at this stage, I mean, it's not a bad pick. I mean, I know he's really, really dusty. And I assume he's healthy. I guess there's no reports. I mean, I could be just missing something. I mean, I feel like Deebo Samuel's always dealing with an injury. But man, at this stage, I don't know if I feel like I'm getting value trapped into Deebo. I'm like full on tilting here a little bit with this draft. I like some of what we've done. I feel like we've reached on Ricky Pearsall, and I'm just not super enthused by the Tony Pollard pick. Feel like I just had to make a decision there that I didn't necessarily want to make. But this is why we go through these mock drafts, right? So Deebo in the 9th round, man, on a good offense, I think that that's probably the pick for this team. You let me know what you think in the comments. We could have gone Egbuka. A lot of upside there. We do have Mike Evans, though. I mean, so anyway, we're going Deebo. All right. So I am not liking this team. I mean, it's okay. It's a fine team. And now, we could look quarterback. There's a ton of quarterback options. Quarterbacks always seemingly fall in these drafts. I think Mooney's a real value here in the 10th round. I know he's probably not going to be ready to start the season, but I think we go wide receiver. We could also take Brandon Ayuk and just stash him in one of our IR spots, and then we have a guaranteed, significant player at wide receiver for the San Francisco 49ers. I know we probably shouldn't be drafting injured players, but at this point, man, I think it's just an insane value in the 10th, 11th round to just stash Brandon Ayuk, especially considering what else is on the board here. So That'll be interesting because I do think that if we pass on him, we're probably not going to get him. Although I think Christian Kirk could provide us some value like right now. So I think we're going to take Ayuk. So he goes Rashad Bateman, Keenan Allen. So Mooney, I think it would either be Mooney or Kirk. Rashid Shaheed would provide us some big play upside. Definitely a better and best ball kind of pick with Rashid Shaheed. But I think we're gonna go with Mooney and just take 2 injured players. I mean, nothing can go wrong, right? So, oh my guy, Wan'Dale Robinson didn't make it back to us, but oh, he got taken with the very next pick. I just didn't look there. Dang. So, okay. So I feel like we're salvaging wide receiver somewhat, even though we're taking injured players. So at this point, so we have 4 running backs that we feel good about. I mean, at this point, I think quarterback is just an insane value with Kyler Murray or Dak here. There's really, I mean, Purdy's gone, so there's not much of a stacking option with our San Francisco guys. Obviously, Baker. I'm assuming Baker's gone too, or is he? I don't know. Yeah, I think Baker went way early in the 6th round. I feel like that's a mistake. We could continue to push it. I don't know what wide receivers are here that I necessarily like. Yeah, there's just not. I mean, Jalen Coker might be a nice pick in the 12th round. I do think Blake at this point, we're just picking RB handcuffs. Although I feel good enough about our RB situation, even though Breece Hall's kind of that's somewhat of a risky pick, although in the late 4th round, totally fine with it. One of the reasons, again, why I would have wanted to go wide receiver. But again, this is why you go through these exercises. So, man, I think I know we've been frustrated by Kyler Murray before, but he would be just an insane value here. Rico Dowdle, Jalen Wright, Roshan, who is day to day. Man, I do think Blake Corum, Jalen Coker. I think Blake Corum's maybe the most important handcuff for us in fantasy football. So I'm gonna make Blake Corum one of my picks here. So they go Goddard and Roshan. So we still do have our pick of the quarterbacks. Man, let's look at running back. Not really enthused. I mean, there's some good options there for sure. I'm definitely not into the wide receivers at this stage. I feel like, we have 6 wide receivers, 4 that we can play right away. And we're probably going to play a running back in our flex. So I think maybe right now, especially considering that we are, I mean, 2, we have to consider 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Everybody has their quarterback. So we're probably going to get a good value on a quarterback coming back to us. Let's just go ahead and take Coker. I like Coker. Although Marshawn Lloyd would be another nice handcuff to have. I'm going to go Lloyd. I'm going to go Lloyd and hope that Coker comes back to us. And he does. Whew. All right. I do, because I think Coker can provide some value right away. And we still have our pick of the quarterbacks. Or at least we have some good values when it comes to quarterback. Drake May did come off the board. That kind of hurts. I was kind of hoping Drake May would fall back to us. So I am going to take Coker, and then it's going to be a quarterback. So let's go Coker. And then I like Trevor Lawrence. I like JJ McCarthy. I really do think that Trevor Lawrence is bound to break out. I mean, it's basically a coin flip between those two guys. So I'm going to go with Lawrence. I feel like in the 15th round, waiting on quarterback was a really smart move there. So we have our quarterback, have our tight end. We have a few nice handcuff running backs. Let's just take the best value player on the board. I'm not opposed to taking a tight end, but I don't think we need to. I mean, assuming this league is a 16 roster league, there's going to be tight ends on the board that we could stream. Let's take a look at running back. No real running backs that, so Devin Neal. Trevor Etienne would be interesting as a handcuff. Let's see, wide receivers. Let's just, there might be an opportunity. There's a lot of guys here that I'm intrigued by. I just don't know with the Rashee Rice news. I was a really big fan of Jalen Royals late, but I'm not sure anymore. Dante Thornton Jr. is taking first team reps with the Raiders, although he could just be running wind sprints. Let's see what I want to do. I mean, Quentin Johnson, I just don't want to do that. Darius Slayton, again, just don't want to do that. And then running back, let's see. I think Trevor Etienne provides some upside there, or Devin Neal. I'll lean Trevor Etienne there. So let's just go with another running back. So we get an A- again. All right. I'll be honest with you. I didn't feel great about this draft. So you let me know what you think in the comments. So let's view the full analysis of it. Again, a lot of my fears were confirmed. So they think I'm going to finish third. I'm not that confident in this team, to be perfectly honest with you. I think that there's a lot of risk that comes with some of the players that we took, where we took them. Jonathan Taylor, especially. Like, I like the value of, but I didn't necessarily like I'm not in love with the player. So Chris Welsh, Joey Wright, all these guys, Ryan Weiss loved it. Joe Rico did not like it from No Expert Fantasy. So let's look at the steals and reaches. Only one steal. I'm assuming that's a steal with Trevor Lawrence in the 15th round. I did love that pick. So we could redo some stuff. I'm not going to do that. So the team strengths, obviously the quarterback is not great. The running back 1 and 2, very strong there, which honestly, the RB2 spot, that's the spot I'm usually not in a rush to fill. Our wide receivers are weak, but I do like our options. And then our flex is really strong. They don't like the tight end, which I find strange, but I guess everybody's down on Mark Andrews this year, which is why I think he's a really good value. So here we go. Here's the team. You let me know what you think. Bijan, Jonathan Taylor, Mike Evans, Breece Hall, Devonta Smith, Ricky Pearsall, Tony Pollard, Mark Andrews, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, Darnell Mooney, Blake Corum, Marshawn Lloyd, Jalen Coker, Trevor Lawrence, and Trevor Etienne. And the nice thing about Ayuk is we can immediately just put him, assuming your league has IR spots, put him on the IR, go pick up somebody on the waivers that you think is worthy of stashing. That's the nice part about taking Brandon Ayuk. And we have, Ricky Pearsall and Brandon Ayuk. So in theory, Ricky Pearsall is the bridge to what Brandon Ayuk can potentially be later in the season. Although if Ricky Pearsall breaks out, great. If not, we have Brandon Ayuk coming. So that's the logic behind that. Hopefully it works out. Again, not a real league, but let me know your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to click like and subscribe. And until next time, be good, everybody. And we will see you later. Best of luck with the number 2 pick in your fantasy football draft.